We got there, we landed at night. Typically that's what we do. We leave the MTC really, really early in the morning and then get to Korea pretty late at night. And so we couldn't see anything except like the city lights. It's right on the coast, and there's a river right there. So coming in on that, it was kind of surreal because it was just super dark except lights everywhere. And it just was a really interesting kind of experience, not being able to see anything, but like being in Korea. It was really surreal. It was just a super special feeling, just getting there, knowing that I was there, but still I couldn't see anything. So it was like, to me, it's kind of like stepping into the mission field literally, or I guess figuratively, and just being completely in the dark. Like you're still there, and you're still expected to be a missionary, but you don't have any experience yet, and that's okay. Like, you can't expect yourself to see as well in the dark as you can in the day. And so when you first get, especially to Korea, it's okay to realize that you're not going to be as good as you want to be, or even as the people around you are. You're in the dark, really. But it's still a beautiful thing. It's still really pretty. So that was like landing and then driving to the mission home. And then the very first, so we had a meeting. Every mission president's different, so I don't know how they do it. But we had a meeting, and then the second night we were there, we went out and we proselyted with the group of trainers that was there to train us. So we didn't know who our trainer was, but we went with a few different people, and we proselyted on the subway. We proselyted that time at a university, and it was amazing. So you still don't know Korean super well when you get there, obviously, but I don't know, you just can't like describe in words the first time as a set apart representative of the church and of Christ, just talking to whoever's next to you, like the best that you can. Again, you're in the dark, you don't really speak the language super well, and even if you do, you're not super used to missionary work. It just can't really be captured. You can't relive it ever. And so it's really, I think, just important to go in with like your whole heart and just talk to people and just love people around you. The Korean people were super nice. They clearly didn't understand anything that I was saying. Having trained after that and knowing what my trainee was saying, they didn't understand anything I was saying for the most part. But they could understand the basic words, and they could understand what I was doing there. The name tag says a lot. The way you dress says a lot. The way that you smile at them says a lot. And they were just really nice. Just really loving people.
I arrived in Korea and went to the mission home. That was our first day. We arrived at the mission home at like 9 o'clock at night. And we had interviews with the president and went to bed. Slept in my first morning. But I don't think president minded too much. I think all of us were pretty jet lagged. And I got my trainer that day. She was a Korean. Her name was Sister Pak. And we served together for the next 10 weeks in an area out in Incheon. And she was great. I learned a lot from her about patience and a lot about how to do missionary work and how to be an effective missionary. I feel like we learned a lot from each other. Our area was a bit of a harder area, and we tried to work together in order to do that, but she spoke English fairly well, and I spoke Korean very poorly at this point, but we somehow made it work. We somehow communicated well, and yeah, I don't know, my very first week in the field, I just remember going out on the streets like all day long, every single day. We do, it's called jando in Korean, proselyting. I don't really know what you call it in English, but so whenever we did jando, it was just hour after hour, we would be on the street corners and just talking to people. And it was really hard. Probably my first several transfers was very difficult to talk to people because I'm at heart a very shy person and don't really like to get out and talk to people. But I was out on the streets, and my trainer would be like, just go up and say hello. say hello, ask them what religion they are. I'm like, and it was just step by step trying to get over that fear of talking to people, because I wasn't very comfortable doing that. But she was great in helping me to start to overcome that. I didn't quite get over that till several months later, and I started finally being able to be comfortable to just walk up to a person and say like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm a missionary. Have you heard about this church?" And most people would be like, "No, I don't want religion." But I don't know, it was a very good learning experience. But I have to say, probably the hardest part about probably my first 2 transfers as a greenie was probably the language. The language, Korean, is very difficult, and even now I still don't think I know I don't fully know it. I can teach the gospel. I could do my calling as a missionary, but I can't do much else outside of that. But the language is probably the hardest. But also through that, I saw so many blessings and so many miracles as the Lord helped me to remember things and to help me to become the missionary that later I was able to become.
It was a long flight, and they had movies playing the whole time, and so it was like, all right, read my scriptures, looking down, or sleep, take a nap. But I was like set on, I'm going to be able to get rid of jet lag really quick, and so I was trying to time it just right so I'd fall asleep on the plane at the right time. Anyways, I was very tired when I arrived and met the mission president. I initially started in the Korea Seoul mission, and when I got there, I got to meet President Christensen and his wife and our APs and the office elders. Loaded all our suitcases up, and then they gave us Book of Mormons. And we're at the airport, and the mission home where we were going to was by the temple in Korea, good distance away. So we all jumped on the subway, and they said, go talk to someone on the train. And we all did not speak Korean. Some of us had more words than others, and I was more of the one who was like, I'll just kind of put it in their hands, and they'll just accept the Book of Mormon, and I'll just Ikujuseo, which is like, will you read this? I figured that would be enough. So I was walking with my MTC companion through the subway, going from car to car, and we don't know how to ask for phone numbers very well or anything. We're doing like the Lord's work, and it was just working out, and we met quite a few people that day. Went to a restaurant right off the bat with the mission president and the other missionaries who came in. I had kimchi jjigae. It's kind of spicy, has kimchi in it, it's a soup, and I was terrible at using chopsticks. Absolutely terrible. I was dropping food left and right. And so then as soon as the mission president said, well, does anyone want to do interviews tonight? I was the first person to raise my hand because I didn't want to keep using the chopsticks that day. Went up, did my interview with the mission president, and then we slept at the building right next to the temple, the little annex. And so that was a pretty cool experience, because the next morning you wake up and there's the temple, and you just arrived from another country, and you're like, I didn't know this was right here when I went to sleep. But my first area was called Songnam, and it's not the rich neighborhood, and so walking down the streets, there was some just smells that would like hit you all of a sudden. You're like, I don't know that smell, it's part of Korea. And that happened throughout my whole mission. Walk by and it's like, ooh, I caught a whiff of something that I don't know what it is, whether it was good or bad. And my trainer, I was told by so many people he's the best at Korean, and I was like, all right. I was pretty excited about this. I'm going to learn Korean really fast then. But when he was so good at Korean, I didn't learn as fast because I would rely on him so much. We had a great ward, very closely knit, and we kind of started off with 2 investigators, and that slowly became 0, and then we had to build from that. But the real work was through the members of the ward, talking to them and getting to know the culture. So